Dr. Kim Yuna rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working for 16 hours straight, but something about this signal kept her awake. The numbers dancing across her monitor were different from anything she had seen before. "This is strange," she whispered to herself. The signal came from a star system called Kepler 442, which was very far away from Earth. Her team at the Seoul Deep Space Communications Center had been trying to understand these numbers for 3 months. Yuna was one of the best people in the world at understanding alien languages. She had studied math and language for 20 years. But this signal was like a puzzle that kept changing every time. She thought she solved it. The numbers repeated the same pattern over and over. First came a series of prime numbers, then some complex equations, and finally something that looked like coordinates. But there was something else hidden in the pattern, something that made her heart beat faster. "Professor Lee," she called out suddenly. Her voice echoed in the quiet room. It was late at night and most people had gone home. Professor Lee Minho walked over to her desk. He was an old man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been studying space signals for 40 years. "What is it, Yuna? You look like you have seen." "A ghost," Yuna pointed at her screen with a shaking finger. "Look at this pattern." Ran it through our new translation program. "These numbers, ... they are not just math problems. They are prayers." Lee put on his glasses and looked at the screen carefully. The computer had translated the alien numbers into Korean words. As he read them, his face became very serious. The message said, "To any who hear this, we are the last. The destroyers. Come, if gods exist among the stars, please help us. We have tried to fight, but we are too weak. Our cities burn. We send this message to the dark space, hoping someone will answer. We are the Ketha. We live on the 3rd planet. Around the star you call Kepler 442. Please, if anyone can hear this, help us before we are gone forever." Lee sat down heavily in a chair. "How long has this been broadcasting?" 3 months, Yuna replied. "But I think it started much earlier. The signal is very weak. It must have taken years to reach us." The message continued with more details. The Ketha described themselves as beings made of living crystal who could think and feel like humans. They had built a peaceful civilization on their world for thousands of years. They studied art and science and music. They had never hurt anyone. But then the hegemony came. The Ketha described them as a powerful empire that traveled from star to star, destroying any intelligent life they found. The hegemony believed that only they deserved to exist in the galaxy. They had already killed billions of beings on dozens of worlds. "They call them the destroyers," Yuna said softly. "The hegemony has been hunting the Ketha for months. They destroy one city at a time, making the others watch. They want the Ketha to suffer before they die." The signal also contained detailed star maps and pictures of the Ketha world. Yuna could see beautiful crystal cities that looked like they were made of colored glass. But many of the pictures showed these cities broken and burning. "Need to tell the government immediately," Lee said, picked up his phone and called the United Defense Council. This was a group of military leaders from all the countries on Earth who made decisions about space defense. Within 2 hours, important people from around the world were looking at the Ketha signal. Presidents and generals and scientists all gathered in video conferences to discuss what to do. Some people wanted to study the signal more. Others said it was too dangerous to get involved in an alien war. But Admiral Park Jin-woo, the head of Earth's Space Navy, had a different idea. "These beings are asking for help," he said during the emergency meeting. "They are like us. They think and feel and love their families. If we do nothing, they will all die." Admiral Park was a strong man who had spent his whole life protecting people. He had fought in many wars on Earth and knew what it meant to save innocent lives. "But we do not have ships that can travel between stars," said one politician. "How can we help them?" Admiral Park smiled. "We have been building those ships in secret for 5 years. Protocol 7, our deep space fleet, can travel faster than light. We built them in case Earth was ever attacked by aliens. Now we can use them to help aliens instead." The debate continued for hours. But finally, the world leaders agreed. Earth would send its first interstellar fleet to help the KTH. As Admiral Park left the meeting, he thought about the Ketha prayers. They had sent their desperate message into empty space, hoping someone would hear them. They had no idea that, on a small blue planet far away, humans were already preparing to answer their call. The Ketha had prayed to the stars for salvation. They would soon learn that the universe had been listening, and help was coming with fusion engines and steel. Armor. The giant spaceship UDS engine moved through the darkness of space like a metal whale. It was bigger than any building on Earth, with thick armor and powerful weapons. Behind it, 11 other warships followed in perfect formation. Together, they made up humanity's first fleet to travel between the stars. Admiral Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Incheon, looking out at the stars through a huge window. He was a tall man with short black hair and serious eyes. For 18 months, he had been leading this fleet toward the Ketha homeworld, and now they were almost there. "Admiral," said Captain Cho Minji, walking up to him, "in command and one of the smartest military officers on Earth, we have been traveling for a year and a half. It is a very long time to be away from home." Park nodded slowly. "Yes, but we had to come. The Ketha needed our help." Captain Cho looked worried. "Sir, the Ketha stopped sending radio signals 3 weeks ago. We have not heard anything from them since then. I am afraid we might be too late." This news made Park feel sad and angry at the same time. The Ketha had been sending desperate messages for help, and then suddenly the messages stopped. This could only mean bad things. Commander Han Sung-ho hurried over to them. He was carrying a tablet. "Computer, with new information. Admiral, our long-range sensors are picking up something. There are many large ships around the Ketha star system. The energy readings are very strong." "The hegemony fleet?" Park asked. "Yes, sir. They are still there. Our computers count at least 30 enemy warships in orbit around the Ketha planet." Park felt his hands tighten into fists. The hegemony had been destroying Ketha cities one by one for months. They could have finished the job quickly, but they chose to take their time. They wanted to make the Ketha suffer. They wanted other alien races to see what happened when someone opposed them. "Those monsters," Captain Cho said quietly. "They enjoy causing pain." Park turned to face his crew. "All ships, prepare for battle. Check all weapons and shields. We did not travel across the galaxy to arrive at a funeral." The message went out to all 12 ships in the fleet. Thousands of human soldiers and sailors began getting ready for the biggest fight of their lives. They had trained for this moment. During the long journey through space, on the lower decks of the Incheon, Colonel Kim Ji-soo was checking her Marines. She was a tough woman who had fought in many battles on Earth. Now she was preparing to fight aliens for the first time. "Listen up, everyone," she told her soldiers. "We have studied the hegemony for 18 months. We know how they fight. Know their weapons and their ships. They think they are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Today we will show them they are wrong." The Marines cheered. They were wearing the best armor Earth could make, and they carried weapons that could cut through steel. Each soldier had trained for hundreds of hours to fight in space and on alien worlds. Meanwhile, in the intelligence center of the ship, Lieutenant Park Heen was studying enemy communications. She had been listening to hegemony radio messages for months, learning their language and their battle plans. "The hegemony thinks they have already won," she reported to Admiral Park. "They are broadcasting victory messages to other star systems. They want to scare other alien races." Park looked at the pictures on the screen. They showed the beautiful crystal cities of the Ketha world, but now many of them were broken and burning. The hegemony had been very cruel. "How many Ketha are left?" "Alive?" he asked. "We think maybe a few million," Lieutenant Park replied. "They are hiding in underground shelters. But the hegemony is preparing for a final attack. They want to destroy the whole planet." Far below on the Ketha world, the surviving crystal beings huddled in dark caves and tunnels. They had been hiding for months, eating very little food and drinking dirty water. Many of them were sick and dying. Elder Veltar, one of the oldest Ketha, led his people in their daily prayers. They still sent messages to the stars, hoping someone would hear them. They did not know that help was finally Coming. Great spirits of the cosmos, Veltar prayed. We are almost gone. Our beautiful cities are destroyed. Children are afraid. If there is anyone out there who can help us, please come soon. The other Ketha joined in the prayer. Their voices made a beautiful singing sound, like bells ringing in the wind. Even though they were scared and hungry, they still had hope above them in space. The hegemony fleet commander Admiral Dexmore was planning his final attack. He was a cruel alien with red eyes and sharp teeth. He had destroyed many worlds and killed billions of innocent beings. Tomorrow, we will finish this, he told his officers. The Ketha will be completely destroyed. Then we will send messages to other star systems, showing them what happens to those who refuse to surrender to the hegemony. But Admiral Vexmore did not know that 12 human warships were approaching his position. The humans had traveled across the galaxy to answer the Ketha prayers. Soon, the hegemony would learn what it meant to face Earth's warriors. The battle for the Ketha world was about to begin. The hegemony warships floated in space around the Ketha planet like hungry wolves waiting to attack. There were 30 massive alien ships, each one bigger than a city. Their dark metal hulls were covered with weapon ports and shield generators. They had been waiting in orbit for days, getting ready for their final attack. Admiral Vexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the crystal planet below. He was a tall alien with red skin and 4 arms. His species had conquered dozens of worlds, and he enjoyed watching other races die. Today would be special. He would destroy the last of the Ketha and send a message to the entire galaxy. Prepare the planet killer weapons, he ordered his crew. I want to watch this world burn slowly. The other hegemony ships began charging. Their most powerful weapons. These were not normal lasers or missiles. They were weapons that could crack planets and boil oceans. The Ketha had no defense against them. But then something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to tear open near the edge of the star system. 12 human warships appeared out of nowhere, their engines glowing bright blue. They had traveled faster than light to get here, and now they were ready to fight. Admiral Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the UDS Incheon, watching the enemy fleet through his telescope. The hegemony ships were huge and scary, but he was not afraid. His ships carried the best weapons and the bravest soldiers that Earth had ever produced. Open a communication channel to all enemy ships, he ordered. The radio crackled to life. Park's voice was calm, but full of authority. This is Admiral Park Jinwoo of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked innocent people and destroyed their cities. You have 10 seconds to leave this star system, or we will destroy you. Admiral Vexmore heard the message and started laughing. Humans? I have never heard of this species. They must be very stupid to challenge the mighty hegemony with only 12 ships. But his laughter stopped when the first human missiles hit his flagship. The weapons were not like anything he had ever seen. They were tipped with tiny fusion. Bombs that exploded with the power of stars. His ship's shields, which had protected him in 100 battles, shattered like glass. Impossible, he screamed. How can such primitive beings have such powerful weapons? The human fleet spread out in perfect formation. Each ship knew exactly what to do. They had practiced this battle many times during their long journey across. Space Lieutenant Park Haine was in charge of the small fighter ships. She was a skilled pilot who had trained for years to fly in space battles. All fighter squadrons attack the enemy weapon systems. Do not let them fire on the planet. Dozens of small human fighters launched from the big warships. They moved like angry bees, swarming around the hegemony ships and firing at their weapons. The alien ships were so big that they could not turn fast enough to hit the quick human fighters. Captain Chomingi commanded the big guns on the Incheon. Target their engines first. If they cannot move, they cannot escape. The human weapons were incredibly accurate. Each shot hit exactly where it was aimed. The hegemony had never fought an enemy that was so precise and deadly. On the planet below, the Ketha were hiding in their underground shelters, felt the ground shake as the battle raged in space above them. Elder Veltar and his people came out of their caves to look up at the sky. What is happening? Asked a young Ketha named Crine. Are the destroyers attacking us again? But Elder Veltar could see something different in the sky. The lights were not falling toward the planet. Instead, they were moving between the enemy ships. Someone is fighting the destroyers, he whispered. Our prayers have been answered. Crystal beings watched in amazement as their enemies' ships began to explode. They had prayed to the stars for help. Now warriors from another world were fighting for them. Colonel Kim Ji-soo led the most dangerous part of the attack. Her Marines had to board the enemy ships and fight the aliens face to face. This was very risky, but it was the only way to capture the enemy commanders. Remember your training, she told her soldiers, as they prepared to board the hegemony flagship. These aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but we are smarter and faster. Marines used special ships to fly to the enemy vessel. They cut holes in the hull with laser cutters and poured inside. The hegemony soldiers were waiting for them, but they had never fought humans before. Human soldiers moved like hunters. They worked together perfectly, covering each other and attacking from unexpected directions. The aliens were confused and scared. They had always been the ones doing the attacking. Now they were the ones being hunted. Commander Han Sung-ho watched the battle from the Incheon's command center. Admiral, we have destroyed 15 enemy ships. The others are trying to escape. But Admiral Park was not going to let them run away. No, they came here to commit murder. They will not leave alive. The battle continued for 3 hours. It was over. The hegemony siege fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single alien ship escaped. The Ketha world was safe. The crystal beings looked up at the stars and sang songs of joy. Their prayers had been answered by warriors from Earth. The burning wreckage of hegemony warships floated in space around the Ketha planet like broken toys. Some of the alien ships were still alive, their crew members sending desperate radio messages. To the human fleet, please do not kill us, the hegemony survivors begged. We surrender. We'll leave this place and never come back. Admiral Park Jin-woo listened to these messages on his ship's bridge, but his face showed no mercy. He had spent the last few hours looking at the hegemony's computer files, and what he found there made him very angry. Major Lee Do-yeon, the fleet's intelligence officer, brought more terrible news to the admiral. Sir, we have broken into their main database. The information we found is horrible. Major Lee showed Admiral Park pictures and videos from the hegemony's own records. They had not just attacked the Ketha. For hundreds of years they had traveled from star to star, destroying every intelligent species they found. The files showed dozens of dead worlds, planets where millions of peaceful beings had once lived. But now only empty ruins remained. Look at this, Major Lee said, pointing to the screen. The hegemony destroyed a species called the Villani 50 years ago. They had beautiful cities and advanced science. The hegemony killed them all just because they existed. Admiral Park saw pictures of the Villani, tall, graceful beings with blue skin and large eyes. They had created art and music and poetry. Now they were all dead. Their cities turned to dust. And here Major Lee continued, are the Kurdan. They were small, peaceful creatures who lived in harmony with nature. The hegemony burned their forests and poisoned their rivers. Not one of them survived. The files went on and on. The hegemony had murdered billions of innocent beings across the galaxy. They called it galactic purification. They believed that only they deserved to exist among the stars. Admiral Park closed the files and looked out at the surrendering hegemony ships. No mercy, he said quietly. They showed no mercy to their victims. We will show none to them. The human fleet finished destroying the remaining hegemony ships. Not one alien survived. But Admiral Park knew this was just the beginning. The files showed that there were more hegemony fleets in other star systems, still attacking innocent worlds. We cannot let them continue, he told his officers. We must hunt them down and stop them forever. The human fleet divided into two. Group 6 ships stayed at Ketha to protect the crystal beings and help them rebuild their world. The other 6 ships, led by Captain Cho Minji, began hunting the remaining hegemony forces. Captain Cho was a skilled military commander who had studied the enemy's tactics carefully. She knew that the hegemony liked to attack weak, peaceful species, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. The hegemony database shows 3 more of their fleets, she told her crew. One is attacking a world called Zephyr Prime. Another is destroying cities on Talvin. The third is preparing to invade the home planet of the Mortek. The human pursuit force traveled through space faster than light, appearing without warning. At hegemony positions, their first target was Zephyr Prime, where a hegemony fleet was slowly destroying a world of flying creatures who looked like giant butterflies. Communications. Officer Kim Tae-young monitored the enemy radio signals. Captain D. The hegemony ships are calling for help. They say they are being attacked by unknown forces. Captain Cho smiled coldly. They are about to learn what it feels like to be hunted. The battle at Zephyr Prime was short and violent. The human ships attacked with perfect coordination, their weapons cutting through hegemony armor like knives through paper. Within 2 hours, the entire alien fleet was destroyed. The butterfly-like Zephyrians came out of their hiding places to thank their rescuers. They could not speak human languages, but they danced in the air around the human ships, their colorful wings creating beautiful patterns in the sky, but there was no time to celebrate. The human fleet immediately jumped to their next target, Talvin, where the hegemony was burning the cities of a species that looked like walking trees. They are running, reported Kim Tae-young as they arrived at Talvin. The hegemony fleet is trying to escape, but Captain Cho was not going to let them get away. Follow them. No matter how far they run, we will catch them. The hunt continued for months. Every time the humans found a hegemony fleet, they destroyed it completely. The aliens had become used to easy victories over peaceful species. They had never faced an enemy that fought back with such deadly skill. Word spread across the galaxy that the hegemony was being hunted by mysterious warriors from a distant star. Many species that had been hiding in fear began to hope that their nightmare was finally ending. Meanwhile, on Ketha, crystal beings worked alongside human engineers to rebuild their cities. The humans shared their technology and knowledge, helping the Ketha create new homes that were even more beautiful than before. Elder Veltar often looked up at the stars and wondered about these strange beings who had answered their prayers. The humans were both gentle and terrifying. They helped rebuild cities during the day and hunted their enemies across the galaxy at night. We prayed for salvation, he told his people, but we received something more powerful than any god. Received the protection of Earth's warriors. The Ketha had learned that sometimes prayers are answered not with miracles, but with the righteous anger of those who refuse to let evil triumph. The final battle took place above the hegemony's home planet, a dark world orbiting a red star. For 6 months, the human fleet had hunted the alien empire across 3 star systems, destroying every ship they found. Now they had arrived at the source of all the evil, the place where the hegemony had planned their wars of genocide. Admiral Park Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the UDS Incheon, watching the last hegemony ships burn in space. The alien homeworlds. Capital ships were massive, some as big as moons, but they fell one by one to human weapons. The red sun reflected off their burning hulls, creating a terrible and beautiful sight. "Admiral," said Captain Cho Minji, "the enemy commander is trying to contact us." On the main screen appeared the face of the hegemony's supreme leader, an ancient alien with scarred skin and cold eyes. He had ruled the empire for 300 years, ordering the deaths of billions of innocent beings. I surrender, the alien leader said, his voice shaking with fear. "Please spare my people. We will never attack anyone again." Admiral Park looked at the alien for a long moment. "Your people will live," he said finally, "but your empire is finished. Any ship that leaves this star system will be destroyed. Attempt to build weapons will be met with force. The age of hegemony terror is over." The alien leader nodded quickly and cut the communication. Within hours, every hegemony ship in the galaxy received the same message: surrender completely, or be destroyed. Behind Admiral Park, Dr. Kim Yuna was working at her communication station. She had been monitoring radio signals from across the galaxy, listening for distress calls from other species. What she found made her heart race. "Admiral," she called out, "I am receiving new signals. There are other species asking for help. Walked over to her station. Show me. On her screen appeared a translation of alien messages from the Rigel star system. We are the singing people of Rigel 4, the message said. The Ironclaw Empire has invaded our world. They're killing our children and destroying our music halls. Please, if anyone can hear this, help us. Another message came from a different direction. This is the Tree Council of Verdun Prime. The machine swarm is cutting down our ancient forests. We cannot fight them alone. More and more distress calls appeared on the screen. Across the galaxy, evil empires were attacking peaceful worlds. The hegemony had been just one of many threats to innocent life. Admiral Park felt a familiar anger rising in his chest. Humanity had traveled across the galaxy to answer one prayer for help, and now they were hearing dozens more. He looked at his crew and saw the same determination in their eyes. Set course for Rigel, he ordered. Maximum speed. Captain Cho smiled. Sir, are we going to help all of them? Every single one, Park replied. We did not come this far to... Stop now. Dr. Kim Yuna sent a message to Earth, explaining what they had found. The response came back quickly from the United Defense Council. Do whatever is necessary. Earth stands behind you. Over the following months, humanity's fleet grew. Larger. More ships arrived from Earth carrying soldiers, engineers, and supplies. The human government created something called the Terran Protection Compact, a promise to defend innocent species from those who would harm them. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had been hiding in fear began to hope. Again, the humans were not just warriors, they were protectors who would cross the stars to help those in need. On Ketha, the crystal beings built monuments to honor their human saviors. The monuments were made of the most beautiful crystal on their world. They showed human ships arriving to save them from the hegemony. Elder Veltar spoke at the dedication ceremony. We prayed to the stars for gods to save us, he said, his crystal body glowing with emotion. But the universe sent us something better than gods. It sent us humans, beings who care about justice and will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The Ketha had learned that their human protectors were not gods at all. They were ordinary people who had chosen to do extraordinary things. They came from a dangerous world where life was hard, and this had made them strong and determined. On Earth, children learned about the Ketha and the other species that humanity had saved. They understood that being human meant protecting those who could not protect themselves, no matter how far away they lived. The galaxy had changed forever. Evil empires could no longer attack peaceful worlds without facing Earth's steel. Human ships patrolled the space lanes, their sensors always listening for distress calls. In the command center of the UDS Incheon, Admiral Park looked at a map of the galaxy. Red dots showed where human fleets were helping innocent species. Blue dots showed worlds that were now safe under Earth's protection. How many more? Asked Captain Cho. Park smiled. As many as it takes. We have steel enough for every star in the sky. The Ketha had prayed for salvation, and humanity had answered. Now every species in the galaxy knew that their prayers would be heard. Earth's children had become the guardians of the innocent, and they would never stop fighting for those who needed their help. The age of genocide was over. The age of human protection had begun.